And just let me know. Yeah, we're good. All right, great. I got the thumbs up from Alyssa. So if you prefer not to be recorded, because this is going to be posted on my website and on social media later for your edification again after this gathering, and also for those who couldn't make it. If you prefer not to be recorded, you can just turn your videos off for the entire gathering, and you can leave your microphone on if you still want to speak and ask a question. You don't necessarily have to be on camera. You should feel free here to ask questions and share stories. But while this gathering is therapeutic, it is not therapy. What you share is not confidential because of the nature of this type of gathering and the fact that it's going to be recorded. We all want your inner work here to be deep and wide in the context of your personal exploration. And so do it to the degree that you can in this context. And you can always contact a credentialed professional beyond this circle. We hope that you do. Last, I'll keep a copy of our general chats so that later I can review how we managed, what came up, at the exercises that we processed, so that I can fine-tune the program for all of us next week. So welcome to the Women's Circle Talk Show, May 3rd, 2020. I'm Lisa Miller. For those of you who have never been here, I'm so glad that you've come to share this space. All of us from different countries, we're all bringing what works. We're all bringing a depth of wisdom and knowledge. There's really no one magic pill and no one answer, but together we all carry such a wealth of wisdom that inherently have all the remedies that we all need. I specialize in mind-body health with certifications and apprenticeship in a variety of therapeutic arts. You're welcome to look at my webpage. My book, The Heart of Leadership for Women, is available on Amazon and through your local bookseller. I would love it if you would buy it or download it and write a review on Amazon. That would be the best help for me. My friend Janelle McNeil, she rides this peace wave with me here each week. She may be joining us a little late today. Many of you have come to love her voice. She's pragmatic and thoughtful and full of heart. And Alyssa Erickson of Kentucky Hempsters holds our tech space. And again, their contact info is on my website. So I want to tell you a bit about why we do this. This global pandemic calls really for global repair now. Now there's a need more than ever to focus on what's working well in our lives, especially as women, a focus on healing and passion and reconfiguration of our priorities. Hasn't that been true? And this is such a time to figure out how to blossom exactly where we're planted. Trees do that. My garden is full of that truth. My passion is women's health and wellness. And the truth is, feel better in my 50s now than in all my earlier decades. It just gets better. And don't you want to hear that from your girlfriends? Don't you want to hear that from women who are going first, and as you look back, women who are now following in your own footsteps? I want everyone to feel better physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And this talk show has grown out of my work over 20 years as a facilitator of gatherings. So here we are, diverse women from our 20s through our 80s, with a wealth of knowing, and here we are cultivating the space together, this intersection between humanity, womanhood, and spirit. I would love to hear from those of you who were here last week, if you're brave enough to unmute yourself and offer one little takeaway that nourished you, sustained you through the week. Something that you heard last week, something someone shared, one of the panelists or one of the participants. Just go ahead and put your hand up and then unmute yourself. One little takeaway you carried with you. Who's going to do it? Denise, please. Thank you. Denise Woolfolk. Don't panic, other Denise. I'm going to unmute. There you go. Okay. Thanks. You got it.
Last week was really beneficial, especially with us being inside right now, as far as eating and emotional eating. And what I took from it was being gentle with ourselves. If we have to have that cookie or that brownie. It's okay to have that cookie or brownie as long as we're not beating up on ourselves as we're eating it or after we're eating it. So I took away that wonderful golden nugget from last week. Thank you.
Good. Acceptance of what is and being kind to self. I try to practice that daily. Anyone else? Y'all know I run a tight ship, but I'm also cool with silence and pauses, so I can wait for you. Ellen, thanks. Unmute yourself.
So last week we talked about food and mindful eating. And so anytime I caught myself standing up and eating, I thought, okay, am I aware that I'm standing up and eating? And that was one of the nuggets that I took home. And it really did make me aware of when I was rushing or if I was panic eating. So then I just sat down and ate slowly. And the other nugget was the apple. If I wasn't hungry enough for an apple, then I wasn't really hungry. And I really appreciated those. And those came to me during the week. And if I wasn't hungry for an apple, I wasn't hungry. So thank you for both those nuggets from last week.
Oh, wonderful. You know, there's nothing like a women's gathering where we've all got each other's backs and we're all agreeing together. It's okay. Whatever's happening is okay. There's no judgment here. Even when a choice is made that doesn't serve, we know it doesn't serve, even when that choice is made, no one is penalizing you. No one is being punitive about any choice. We're all of us souls celebrating and struggling. We're all in it together. Anyone else? One more. We've got time for one more. Just put your hand up and unmute yourself.
I'm Sally. I was here last week and I'd like to share. I thought it was a great topic. I really like the apple. I thought about that. But she just talked about listening to your body and knowing your signals. And I thought, that's what I need to do, because a lot of times I'll sit down and I'll just eat and eat and eat, and I'm not listening to my body. And then, then I want dessert. And I'm really not hungry for dessert. But if I just stop and listen to my body, my body will tell me what I want. And also she was talking about how routine is important, even in a pandemic. It just brings order to our life. And I thought it was very helpful.
Yes, I'm writing this down. My body will tell me what I want. This is a gem for everything, not just our relationship with food. This is a truth about everything. My body tells me what I want and need. And today, you're in luck, everyone, because we have two fabulous panelists who will help us get more in touch with exactly that. What is it that my body and my spirit need for health and well-being? My first panelist today, Judy Myers, is my friend of several years, but we have never met in person. Judy, I think this is the most we've seen each other these recent weeks in our women's circle than really in the 5 years we worked together. We were in Martha Beck's life coach training together, and we partnered along with Suzanne, who was also here. Judy is from Massachusetts, Suzanne in California, and yet here we are sharing the space. There's no separation between any of us. So Judy Myers, with a master's in education, is the author of Managing the Mommy Years, Effective Strategies for Coping and Motherhood. She's a master certified life coach, a guidance counselor, and a Kripalu yoga teacher. She's the creator of Voices, a recovery program for people pleasers. That sounds intriguing. It's a 7-step program that helps people pleasers learn to say no and set healthy boundaries. And she is also a certified bear coach, a trademark process for women who want to learn how to listen more closely to their hunger needs. Judy has a heart-centered approach to life coaching. She helps women get clarity and overcome obstacles that stand in the way of getting what they need, because she wants everyone to be more confident and live the life that their hearts are yearning for. Welcome, Judy.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much for inviting me to be on this show. I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm thrilled to be teaching all of you all over my screen this super simple tool. that's going to help you feel better right away, even in the midst of all this craziness that's going on around us. So to feel better, all you have to do is understand 5 things. And those 5 things are, here's my handy whiteboard. Those 5 things are circumstances, thoughts, feelings. Let me see if I can see this in my camera. Oh yeah, feelings, actions, and results. So circumstances are all the things that happen in the world that we cannot control, like the COVID virus. Our thoughts are the sentences that happen in our mind about the circumstance. It's like, you know, we're never going to survive this. I'm going to get sick. Somebody I know and love is going to get sick. I'm going to lose my job. There's never going to be, and all the thoughts that are happening up in your head. Feelings are your emotions in your heart, the physical vibrations in your body. Hopelessness, anger, depression, overwhelm, all of those are feelings. Actions are our behavior, what we do and what we don't do. Our actions, our reactions, our non-actions. And then the results are the effect of our actions. What happens in our lives because of the actions we take? Every single thing in your life can be categorized into one of these 5 categories. Something happens, it's a circumstance, that circumstance triggers a thought in our brain, that thought causes a feeling in our bodies and our hearts. Our feelings are what drive us to do or not do in the world, and then all of those actions create the results that we have in our lives. And this is the order on how it always happens. So what people tend to do is blame the circumstances in their lives for how they feel. But that is incorrect. It is never the circumstance that causes you to feel what you feel. The circumstances are neutral. They just are. They're just facts. They can be proven in a court of law. Every single person in the world would agree to them. It is your thoughts about the circumstances that cause you how you feel. It is what you make the circumstance mean that will cause your emotions. So all of your power lies in how you think about something. And that is really great news because you have control over that. You actually have control over what you think. So let's take this virus. Let's take COVID-19 as our circumstance. So I'm going to give a few examples. They're all real. They're all examples I've had like in the past week of thoughts people have had about the COVID virus. So, so let me just erase this. By the way, the other way that we talk about this model is CTFAR, way quicker and faster to just refer to it as the model or CTFAR. Okay, so the thought, one of my clients said this week is we as a world are never going to survive this. We're never going to survive this virus. That was her thought. So, oh, you know what? I'm sorry. See, I should have done it here. We are never going to survive this. We are never going to survive this. The circumstance is COVID-19. That's the circumstance, COVID-19. The thought is we're never going to survive this. So when I asked her how she felt about when she thought that we're never going to survive this, she said, I feel hopeless. And I said, okay, so when you feel hopeless, what do you do? And she said, I don't do anything. I'm like, well, what do you do? She says, well, I lay on the floor. She's 30, okay, so she went back to live with her parents. She said, I isolate myself from my family, and I just lay there, and I just keep thinking more doomsday thoughts. And I'm like, okay, what don't you do because you're feeling hopeless? And she said, I don't do my work, I don't exercise, I don't talk to anybody, I don't move. That's what she does, that's her action. And then I ask her, okay, and what are the results? What's the effect of doing nothing? So she does, I'm not gonna write all that, I'm just gonna write, she does nothing. And I said, okay, and what is the result of that? And she said, my life just stops. Her life just stops. It comes to a standstill, which kind of goes right back to we're never going to survive. We're never going to survive. So the model is COVID-19, that's the thing we can't control. Her thought is we're never going to survive this. She feels hopeless, so she does nothing, and her life stops.
And these are great examples, Judy, of how we can really plug anything in there.
Anything.
Right, here's my circumstance. I made a business call and I didn't get a return call. And then that can go right in, that's just a circumstance that goes right into a thought, into a feeling, an action, and a result. Please continue.
Okay, so we looked at the thought that's causing her feeling of hopelessness. We're never going to survive this. So the first question I ask her is that true? Like, do you know that for 100% sure we're never going to survive this? And she's like, no, I don't know for sure. So I'm like, is it really true? She said, no, it's probably not really true. I said, okay, what do you think might be more true? Or what else could be true? And she said, we will survive this. We will. We will survive this. I'm going to do COVID-19. The circumstance never changed. We will survive this. And I'm like, we talked about it a little bit. Yes, it'll be challenging. Yes, it might take a long time. But the facts are there are people working on this 24/7. They're trying really hard to come up with a vaccine. There's already antibody testing. So, in all likelihood, we as a world will probably survive this. So what we tried to do here is we tried to come up with a replacement thought. We will survive this. And the replacement thought just has two rules. It has to be true, and it has to make you feel better. So same circumstance, COVID-19, but now we're going to plug in, we will survive this. I'm like, how does that make you feel? As you can guess, she said hopeful. She feels hopeful when she thinks that thought. And when she feels hopeful, I said, what do you do? And her answer was, I can rest in, I can rest in optimism. I can think about all the possible opportunities for things to get better. Maybe the economics will get better. Maybe healthcare will get better. Maybe the environment will get better. Maybe there will be more equal status for women. And I'm like, okay, well, what wouldn't you do? What wouldn't you do if you believed we will survive? So I wouldn't lay on the floor and do nothing. I'd probably get up, exercise, call a friend, read a book. And then I'm like, and what would the results be of all that? Should I get back to living? Same circumstance, COVID-19, but now we replace that we are not going to survive with we will survive this. She goes from hopelessness to hopeful. And her actions are, all the things that she does. I'll just put things she does. And the result is she gets back to living. Gets back to living.
So if we were to use another example of so-and-so didn't return my call, it could be a professional relationship or a love relationship. I used to be really good at creating all kinds of stories. I still am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All kinds of stories about why someone didn't call me back. They hate me. I said the wrong thing. I shouldn't have done X. So really plugging anything in here. The circumstance is what happened. And looking at what I hear you saying is it's so useful to look at the thoughts around that develop after what happened, around what happened.
Exactly. It's the thought that's causing you to feel bad. It's not the circumstance. And if you can find a better thought, then that will serve you. That will make you feel better. So that's really the most important thing for you to remember, is that it's never the circumstance that's causing your feelings. It's always your thinking. And so many of us just have all these thoughts that pop into our mind and we just believe that they're true. We don't even recognize them as thoughts. So that's where you start. You shine a light on your mind. What's going on there? What thoughts are going in there? And notice how does that thought make me feel? And do you want to feel that way? Because if you don't, you can start anywhere on here. You can change the thought to make you feel better. You can say, I want to feel hopeful. What do I need to think in order to feel the way I want to feel? So if you're having a thought that's making you feel bad, it's totally in your power to change how you feel by changing how you think.
And is it true, Judy, that this is not about putting on rose-colored glasses and not about saying, oh, this doesn't hurt my feelings when it really does. It's not about pretending that nothing feels wrong, but it's about getting honest about what is happening and honest about the creation of beliefs around what happened. So not just find a better feeling thought, but what possibly is the entire reality here.
Mm-hmm.
What's the entire reality? There are a lot of things that contribute to someone not returning a phone call.
Yeah, what is it that you don't know? You are jumping to so many assumptions when you make it mean something that it probably does not mean that. And then it just spirals. And then you feel bad, and then who knows what you do. But you're doing something that's not getting to the end result that you want to create.
I'd love to open the floor here. If you have a question or a resonance, just unmute yourself and go ahead. And remember that if you want to see everyone in attendance here, and you click in your speaker view up in the right corner of your laptop, you'll find gallery option, and then you can see everyone. There are about 40 people here right now, and we have 25 people on each screen. So just go ahead, unmute yourself if you have a question or a resonance.
Judy, I have a resonance. I feel like you just stepped into 80% of my counseling sessions. I can't tell you how many times I've used those exact words to explain how we can have a little bit more of a sense of control over what results we get in our lives. And I love that part about how the circumstances, we always think it's the circumstances, right? This thing happened and it made me feel this. This thing happened, it made me do this. But there is, I think every time I mention this to someone, it's like a light bulb. They're like, oh my gosh, it's how I'm thinking about this that makes the difference. And that makes all the difference, because then you have the power over what you think, right? You can practice what you think. So thank you so much. I love what you're saying. And I say that every single day. So it's nice to hear someone else say it. I love the way you put it.
Thank you. And that's just, this is just a skill. All it is learning how to manage your mind, because your mind is like a little toddler running all over the place. And it's up to us to, like, get it under control and turn it in a way that's going to work for us and not against us.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We can take another resonance or comment. Just unmute yourself and go ahead. You don't need to wait. Maybe you have a question. You have a master life coach and a psychologist here today who will support you. Jean, thanks. Go ahead.
Hi, Jean.
Hello, my love. Judy is my life coach, and she's been working hard with me on coming up with this formula. And I often think and refer back to my notes, okay, I'm feeling really bad right now. And to remember that CTFAR is really good to remember which part of it that you're working on. But it really does work. It's amazing. And it's back to being in the moment of, hey, wait a minute, this isn't where I'm going with this. This isn't where I want to go with this. But it's an amazing formula that it does work. And Judy's been amazingly helpful with teaching it to me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. You've been an amazing student. Jean has been a person who has worked really hard to embrace these concepts in her life, and not to just blame the circumstance and feel bad, but to step in and say, where's my power? What can I do about it? How can I change my thinking so that I will feel better about it? We don't always go from horrible to wonderful. We're just trying to move up a little bit and feel a little bit better.
Isn't it true, you all, that it's so pleasurable to spend time with people who just are interested and curious about their own inner workings? These are the people I like to have dinner with, and girlfriends I like to share a walk with, and time here in the circle. Everyone responsible for our own energy and our own emotions. And it doesn't mean we've got it all together. It just means we're willing to look and be curious about our inner workings. What else? Just go ahead and unmute yourself. Go ahead, Kim.
Hi. So listening to your inner self has been something I've never ever done in my life until very recently. And everything that everybody's been saying today about listening to your body when you're hungry, if you are not wanting an apple, you're really not hungry. And that's something that
Uh-oh, you're cutting out a little on the audio, Cami. That's my sister Kim in Toronto, joining us from her new house, and the Wi-Fi is a little spotty. So Maybe if you could type in the chat box, and we'll see if we can pick up the rest of the thread of what you wanted to share.
Okay.
What else, y'all? What else? Just go ahead. Helen, thanks. Helen from Pretoria in South Africa, where it is late evening. Well, maybe
That's right.
like 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
Yeah, it's about 7:15. Thanks, Lisa. I want to know more about how to train my brain to have positive thoughts, because instinctively I will take a neutral circumstance like a phone call that's not replied to, and I will build it up into a terrible negative event, which inevitably never comes to pass. It was just all in my head, and it caused me so much stress, and it keeps me awake, and it's me. And I realize that, but I don't know how to be positive. I seem to prefer to be negative.
Yeah, so Helen, just to let you know, very normal, very typical that you do that. We all do that. So I'm just going to tell you how I do that. So I get up every morning and I just write. First of all, I'm literally like shining a flashlight on my mind, and I write down all of these thoughts that I have. And then I kind of pick the one that's the most juicy, the most interesting to me. And I look at that thought, and the first thing I do is I look at what are the facts around this. So I separate what is a fact, could be proven in a court of law, which is 100% true, and what I think about it. And then when I look at my thought, I automatically say, when I think this, what do I feel? So that's where I start. What am I thinking? Is it true? What are the facts surrounding it? And then when I notice how it makes me feel, I say, do I want to feel that way? You're saying sometimes you do want to feel bad. If you want to, listen, negative feelings aren't terrible. When somebody dies, you want to grieve. When something awful is happening in the world, you want to be outraged. So I'm not saying don't have negative feelings, but you get to choose whether you want to hold on to that feeling or not. And if you don't, then take that feeling and start with, is this true? This thought that I'm having. Is there anything else that's also true? Because usually the opposite of that also gets equal airtime. So like, I'm just telling you, one thought that people have is, I'm going to get this virus and I'm going to die. That's their thought. And I'm like, okay, that could be true. But it's also, let's give equal airtime to what else is true. You also might not get it. You might get a mild case. You might get it, not have any symptoms. So all of that is true too. So at least give equal airtime in your mind to the opposite of what you're thinking, and see if you can find evidence for that.
I remember when we were learning this process, Judy, that it really did take some practice. We were all really interested in this process, but it really took some practice. What are the additional ways that I can feel about this? It's valid that I feel X. What are some other options too? And you just write them down. It's just practice. It seems silly, but you just write them down until you can see visually and have the experience of having the thought come through your hand to the page, so you can look at it with more objectivity. Dr. McNeil, would you add anything here with Helen's compelling share?
I think I really like that she's making it clear that you can have your feeling and that you're not pretending, like the idea that there is space for the negative feeling and there's space for the positive feeling. So it isn't that something horrible happens and we're just going to make everything happy and we're only going to feel happy because that's the feeling that we want. So we will only feel happy. There is space for the grief, just like she said. We may think we want to not feel grief or that we want to not feel negative feelings, but then that would make us a little bit inhuman, right?
Okay.
So I love that that we have a tool for working with our feelings, but we also can still allow them to come and go.
Thank you. And Judy, is it a matter of asking ourselves the question, well, what do I want to feel? This is how I feel. What do I want to feel?
Yes, that is one way. That's kind of, to me, a really good way to get into this, because feelings are almost more accessible than trying to figure out what's going on in your brain. Like, how do I feel? Do I like that feeling? How would I rather feel? And then it's like thought creation. So that's one good way. But honestly, you can get into that model on any of those lines and just fill out the rest of the model accordingly.
Thank you so much. So much fun. I mean, it really, look, we're all struggling with various things, and I just find it fun to play with these little tools. And it's fun to play with them when not in crisis, so that you have the backup plan for when you are struggling a little. So, I want to encourage everyone now, just take a moment, and this is private, just jot down in your journal one challenging circumstance that you know of that you could play later with these tools. You can play through later with these tools. And Judy, I think it's Brooke Castillo's website that highlights this easily.
Yes, so she has a book called Self-Coaching 101, and it really explains this whole process. And if anybody's interested in that, I know, like, she sold this book. She sells it, but this is not. She's happy to give this book out, and I do have that. And if you're interested in it, like, I have it in a PDF form. I'm happy to share that with you.
That's lovely. And Judy's contact information is on my website, very generous. And Brooke Castillo is Castillo.
Yes.
And you can find it easily even just Googling her website. So thank you so much, Judy. Thank you. I want to take us into our wonderful next panelist. And this is just the perfect entree to introducing you to Denise Woolfolk. Wave, Denise. She's a licensed massage therapist and certified therapeutic art life coach. She's here in Kentucky. She has a fabulously interesting story. I love her story. In 2000, she had a medical emergency. It was a brain aneurysm. And after a successful brain surgery, the healing took some time to begin, because the major complication was short-term memory loss. I think you were working in the car plant at the time, and I remember you saying to me, if you can't remember where the steering wheel goes, you can't really keep your job. So her healing began through those challenges, and she had to ask herself the question, what does my life look like now? Simple tasks, not being able to remember even how to get home when she was out driving, consumed her, along with fear and a loss of faith that she could care for herself and even set the goals that she had for herself in earlier years. She felt disabled and she felt depressed. But something happened one day. She decided to take her power back, and she took it back from medications, from those beliefs that confined her and no longer served her. She began to ask, who am I? And to excavate the areas of her life where she had disconnected from her true essence. She says, that was the beginning of my journey back to myself. Denise, thank you for being here. Tell us what that was like.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for being here, everyone, listening to my story. Well, when I was going through it, it was very, very depressing, sad, fear, all the things. But I knew that I couldn't just allow myself to just sink into that space and just give up on life. I mean, I was used to having a very vibrant life, but at the same time, I didn't really know who I was. And what that meant was, anyone could come up to me and say, hey, you're this. And I would take it on. Well, maybe that is, whether it was good or it was bad. So I knew that I had to buckle down and just find out who I am. So where that really started happening for me is when I actually did go into massage school. Because before I started massage school, I had no idea about the elements, being connected to earth, being connected to sky, none of that. So I was just like a whirlwind moving through life, being pushed and pulled and dragged by whomever or whatever crossed my path. But once I began to really create a space for myself where I could actually tap into the elements, who I really am, listening to my intuitive self, I was able to pull myself up and find different areas of my life where I had gifts. I didn't have to just build a car. I had gifts with my hands that required me to be a little bit more gentle with my touch instead of grabbing a wrench and building a car. So when I started massage therapy school, it allowed me to actually tap into who I really am and the essence of who I am on the inside, not from the outside. During massage school, I became open to another area that I could go to, and that was mystery school. So I went out to California, went to mystery school. And when I went to mystery school, that's where I created a different relationship with altar work and ritual work. And when I mean ritual, I mean honoring, like honoring my ancestors, honoring my teachers, honoring the elements, honoring the directions. All of those things began to allow me to create a sense of power around my essence, a sense of being able to find faith in the ability to trust in what is and knowing that what needs to be will come to me. Once I started creating altars, I created one in my home for myself. And what that did, it allowed me to have a sacred practice that I engage in every morning. So I get up and I say my prayers. I get up, I pour my libations. And what I'm doing is I'm honoring my ancestors. I'm honoring my teachers, all of those that came before me so that I could be here in this place, in this time. Now, before the sickness happened, I didn't have the awareness that this was going on because I was in the whirlwind of life, taking care of family, working, doing all the things, being superwoman, that I couldn't even hear the whispers of my ancestors. So what they had to do, pretty much what the earth's done to us right now, said, you're in a timeout. So I had a medical emergency that required me to sit back and evaluate who I really am. Just like this time is allowing us to sit back and evaluate who we really are. Where do we want to be when we come out of this? So I set up my sacred altar, and I had no idea of how I was going to do it, but I just put on my altar what I thought needed to go on my altar. As I went through the rituals for doing this, I decided that I wanted to go to find out more information about my history, about my ancestors, about my heritage. So what I chose to do was to have a DNA test done so that I could find out where I came from, what's in my blood, what ancestors' information is flowing through my body. Once I got that information, then I decided to tap into looking into Nigeria, which is a big part of my ancestry. I had no idea. So what African traditions are there? What things do I don't know about that my ancestors used to be able to survive that allowed me to be here? So when I went through the priestesshood, which was with the Yoruba tradition in Africa, I began a much deeper relationship with my altar work and my ancestors. It brought up different gifts within myself, even things that needed to be healed that my ancestors were speaking to me that I wasn't hearing because I was too busy. And once I slowed down and tapped in, I began to get all kinds of information to heal not only myself, but to heal my mother, heal my mother's mother, my mother's mother's mother, not only myself, my daughter, my daughter's daughter, my daughter's daughter. So it goes 7 generations back and forward with this honoring. Now, trust, there are mornings when I get up, I'm like rushing out of the house. I didn't have time to sit and do the thing. But I make sure that sometime during that day, I give honor to my ancestors, even if I'm not in my altar space, because they're with me everywhere. They speak to me every day, and I speak to them like they're still here. They have wisdom for us. They have guidance for us, and they're waiting for us to call them in. Now, I do call in the ancestors that practice good character, the ones who contributed to the family in a positive way, to the community in the positive ways, because those are the ones that have the information for you and us. They're waiting for us to say, hey, come on in, show me, what's the next step? Where should I go? What should I do? So when we honor them by saying, thank you so much every day, when we have to go to them to ask, it's not like we're always asking, it's a reciprocal relationship because we give, we take, we give, we take. So it's not like you're worshiping. No, you're honoring. There is a difference. So If there's any questions, I'm gonna just stop right now, take a breath, and see if there's any questions about what I'm speaking on.
This is beautiful. I hear what you're saying in terms of gathering your resources around you. We all have lineages, all of us, even if our family of origin were not supportive. We come from long lines of people, generations back, with wisdom that we carry in our DNA. I hear you talking about being open to what that is, so that as you let me know if I've captured this, as you walk forward now and into your future, that you have all your resources about you, all the gifts of people who came before you, along with what you're cultivating in this lifetime.
It's absolutely true. And even if there are situations where you had to step away from family just so you could be safe, or because you didn't have a relationship, whatever it may be, even if you don't have a memory of your ancestors, you can actually give honor to the people who mean the most to you in your life, that helped you to pull yourself up from wherever it may have been, who you can go to get comfort. They could still be living. They don't have to be deceased. Just giving honor creates a space. It actually creates a very powerful portal for you to actually bring your whole self into one place in order to be able to listen and cultivate your next move, so you're not scattered doing the thing, thinking about this, worrying about this. You bring all of your essence, all of who you are into your sacred space, so you can stop, breathe, and listen. It's been very helpful for me during this time that we're going through right now. I took this time to actually go inward and find out what this really means for me. What things do I need to let go of? What have I been holding on to that's not going to serve me any longer? So I've been really doubling down on all the tools that I've been receiving from all the years behind. So I just really felt it was a good time to bring that up during this time when we're having so much time on our hands in the house. We have kids, we have husbands running around. Do you have time where you can stop and pull all of yourself in to take a breath for yourself? Used to be, my space was the bathroom. I would close that door. I knew it was quiet in there. Couldn't nobody bother me. It had a lock on the door. If I needed to cry, I would cry. I would get in the shower and let the water wash over my body. Let it go, let it go. Now I have my sacred space. I go in, if I need to cry, yes, I cry to my ancestor, yes. And I feel just like I'm on my mama's shoulder crying, or my daddy hugging me when I'm crying. When I find my joy, I come in here, I'm like, yes, guess what? I am singing, I'm dancing, I got my chimes. Yeah, we celebrate together. We have a relationship just like they're still here. There's no separation.
And isn't it
We
lovely? And
believe
isn't
there's
it lovely?
separation.
Yes, your self-care makes my time with you more rich. You know, I'm saying this to everyone. When you take care of yourself, it helps me to be around you. What you bring to that shared space between us and virtually here, each of us are bringing this wealth of well-being. Of course, there's shit that doesn't work out, and that's present too. But what we're focusing on is what's up. And so the question I have for myself every day is, what am I focusing on? And where do I need to go to reinvigorate and reground so that I can move forward with my wits about me and my intentions intact? Denise, it's true too, isn't it, that we all share a common DNA, even if the DNA ancestry is not something we're crazy about looking into, we just don't feel like going there. We all as a human race share this planet together. If I'm interested in indigenous teachings of the early Americas, I can research that. I can look into the Hindu tradition and put my head on that soft shoulder too.
Absolutely. And as you start doing research like that, you're opening a channel with your ancestors, which they will start giving you ideas and hints as to what you can put on your altar. It may be something totally out of left field, and you're like, I don't know why I picked this up. Put it on your altar. Later on, you'll figure out why. You'll have a remembrance why. Your altar doesn't have to be super, you know, creative. You don't have to go and, you know, buy the thing. Just put on your altar what touches your heart, what brings a memory of happiness to you. And as you go along through life, you'll gradually add things to your altar. So it becomes a place of peace and solace when you need to go and find that within yourself. So the more things that you have on your altar that you love, the better.
So Denise, when you were healing from the side effects of the brain surgery and you found this school, you found massage school and you found mystery school, how did learning, and I know learning is so challenging for someone with a brain injury, but how did being exposed to that therapeutic learning satisfy your need and satisfy your health?
Well, from massage school, that therapeutic need and learning, actually what it did, it showed me that I can do something, because I didn't know what I was going to be able to do. I couldn't remember, and I was a hot mess in massage school trying to study. But what it showed me was, with my determination, I could do anything, even with the event that happened. Yes, I had to study a little differently. I would write down everything. That's how I study, because repetition helps me to be able to remember better. As far as mystery school just deepened my connection with the elements, with the earth, with the directions, with different archetypes that are out there that actually you can tap into to learn more information about yourself as far as your energetic essence that you put out. So like we started with the chakra system. I didn't know anything about chakras. So we worked through each chakra, and with each chakra, there are emotions that associate with the chakra. So I learned how to work through those things. What's grounding? What does that mean? Well, I learned in mystery school how the Celtics ground. So I learned different religious backgrounds in mystery school through each one of the chakras. So I was able to glean from each one what resonated for me, so that I could synergize what I needed for my own individual healing.
Wow. I can't help but think about how this is so much about just finding something, pulling a little thread of interest, no matter what we're going through in our lives. There are a little thread of interest around something, a little teeny light that can grow. Pull that thread, add to that light, keep nourishing it, keep feeding it the right amount of oxygen and the right amount of kindling, just to see where it goes. My sister and I often say, why bother getting up in the morning if there isn't a good project to look forward to? So we're both crafters, and my other sister would say, why bother getting up in the morning if we can't use garlic in our recipes? So, you know, what is it what's your little thread? What floats your boat, I wonder? And I want to open the floor here for questions for Denise, or resonance, or maybe you share a story about how this works for you, your passion, or the way that you walk with the ancestors, or the way that you reach out for support from the world of spirit. How does that nourish you? Just unmute yourself and just go ahead. Beverly, thanks.
I can really resonate with everything you've said. I was adopted, so I spent the first part of my life looking for myself. Tried on many different paths, including the mystery schools. Went to a school in England via email or letters. Back then you didn't have email, but correspondence course. But I found that when I did the ancestry and was able to go and do the Nat Geo, which was able to follow my mother's 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 mother all the way back to Africa, I was connected to a mother spirit that I never knew I even needed. And it opened this whole feminine area of myself that I had, I guess, closed, because the world wants you to be more man, more like a man, more masculine. And so by following and honoring my mother's path all the way up to England, because you could follow it with the Nat Geo, I took on each one of their lives and brought them into the wholeness that I am now. And I can totally relate where you're coming from. My personal altar is within self, so that wherever I go, there I am. I can pull my altar out from inside myself. I don't have to go back to my space at home, because I asked God to give me a place within myself that I had all my tools, so that if someone needed me there I am. But I wanted to share that with you because I feel a sisterhood with you.
Thank you for sharing, Beverly. Yes, and I'm so glad you said that, because we do keep a sacred altar within. So when I'm traveling, of course, I don't have my altar with me, but I do make time to actually give honor to my ancestors wherever I'm at. So yes, it does travel within.
And I can attest to the fact too, that whatever you do with the time that you have counts for later when you have no time. Whatever you do now builds a momentum to keep you going, so that what you did before counts, helps to support you as you move forward. Anyone else? A resonance or a question? Tatiana in Kentucky here. At least we get to see each other on Sundays every week, Tatiana. I'm going to unmute you. There you go.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. This is so wonderful to be here with all the beautiful ladies. But since the pandemic started, well, I've been connected to my deceased loved one in my thoughts, in my heart. I believe that they're still here, just beyond the veil, right across the veil. And so since the pandemic started, I distinctly has been feeling even stronger connection to them. And so in my thoughts, I would communicate with them, thinking of my dad who passed away in 2008, my maternal grandmother, Maria, she passed in 2012, my American grandfather, Greg. And I just know that they see what everything that's happening, and they can see the big picture. They know what we don't know. And so whenever I'm gonna hit like a dead end, I would just stop and look up to them and think, whisper, give me a whisper, just send me a message, guide me. And then last night I had a dream. Often I would fall asleep, I would go to bed, I would fall asleep, and shortly after, something will startle me out of my sleep, and it's usually some presence. And so last night it was my dad. So I fell asleep, and then I woke up feeling my dad right connected to me. And I said out in my sleep, "Papuля, papuля," which is daddy in Russian. So that was so comforting and such a cool experience. But I love everything that Denise has shared. Hi, Denise.
Tatiana.
And yeah, it's so important. And my favorite quote, I won't remember it word by word, but it's that we are the ancestors are right next to us. Stop, listen. You're the creation of thousands, of the love of thousands that came before you. But many of you may know this quote. So just wanted to share that.
It's beautiful, T. It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I want to encourage everyone now to take a moment, turn to your journal, and jot down one word that captures the support, captures the meaning behind the support that you feel you need. As you think about the practical tools we talked about today and the spiritual tools, one or two words to capture what it is that you need right now moving forward. Maybe you heard something that you're interested in exploring. Maybe you've been aware just under the conscious surface of your mind of something that you need as you move forward. Write that down. What do you need? All of this will continue to digest. And of course, there's so much unspoken that is rich, that is right here for all of us too, that we're all feeling. What you're feeling right now, we're all sharing it. We're all bringing solutions and wisdom just by virtue of having shown up here. It's so powerful. When the prayer for healing in community and sisterhood is solid, is cultivated in the soil of the gathering, healing is exponential. So it's a powerful time now to get clear about what it is that you want moving forward. Write it down. And you'll see how in the course of the week or in the months ahead, how this will start to just become your life. You ask questions about self, you set intentions, and then you find yourself living the answers. It blooms. We don't stand over our garden every day with hands on the hips and go, what the hell? Why aren't you growing? We don't dig up those seeds and take them apart to see how much they've fallen apart in the last 2 days so that they can bloom new shoots. We don't do that. We plant, we nourish, and we let go. I want to thank you all so much. We're not done yet, but I want to say that there are friends here of mine, old and new, and I just always want to take time to notice the miracles. I don't want to walk through my life of miracles with my eyes closed, so I want to make sure to honor you all right now for being part of this miracle. I have never facilitated so many gatherings in a row. I really can't remember the last time. I think, now going into month 3, I am just rich in facilitation, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to spend time with you. I love spending time with women who are interested in personal exploration. It's just the sweetest experience for me and makes me excited, in addition to crafting, to get up in the morning. I have to say that the stories we tell, the stories that are profound and the stories that are trivial, that we tell each other as women, signal in each of us the potential for growth and healing. This is what we women do. We've sat around, talk about ancestors. We've sat around for millennia telling each other our stories. And especially when we tell them in a non-judgment zone like this, where we all got each other's backs, the growth and the healing is so sweet. Why would we want to spend time with people who gossip or people who have goals that are anti-healing and support of one another? So as we tell each other our stories and as we listen to each other, we are also honoring the experiences that everyone has lived so far. Again, today is all about the practical and the spiritual, and the way in your lives that the two can be integrated and melded and married. And what is the juicy place? I want to invite all of you to think about that juicy intersection between the practical tools and those deep spiritual tools that we carry through our days. Each of us has a different recipe. The ingredients are completely up to each of us. The ingredients in my healthy, well-balanced life recipe are completely different from yours, though we may share some of them. Each of us have a different recipe. And these, as you write down and as you continue to think about these questions and the stories that are told in these women's circles, your recipe will start to become clear. All the ingredients of your recipe will become clear. Let's see.
Can I jump in for a second,
Please
Lisa?
do, Janelle.
Thanks. What I'm loving today's show, just to say, but I'm loving this. But what keeps coming up to the forefront for me is a term that we use in psychology called tend and befriend. And there were women who did research about fight or flight and anxiety and scared sorts of states. And they found that there were differences. People used to think, well, when people are upset and anxious, they want to get away. They want to kind of pull into themselves and do that sort of thing. And they said, I'm not really seeing this in the women that I know. And they realized, they did research and found that women tend to one another and befriend. And that's what I'm seeing with Judy, and what I'm seeing with Denise, and what I'm seeing with all of us coming together right now is Judy's got wisdom. Denise has wisdom in different ways, and we're sharing that with each other, and we're healing, right? We're having more of a sense of, I'm having a sense, I mean, just even seeing the way that Denise moves makes me feel good, right? She's got this positive, I feel like Denise has this way of like walking into a room and she's never alone. You can almost see her ancestors walk right in there with her and support her as she walks in, right? Judy is telling us this great information that people are like, yes, I'm going to take that home. I'm going to hold this close to me and I'll use this. And we're giving each other these tools that we can use, and doing it in a space that is so open and sharing and welcoming. And that's just I feel like we are doing the tend and befriend, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Go to your chat box now, friends, and type one word or one sentence about how you're feeling right now. How are you feeling right now? Because here you have an opportunity to add your voice to the recipe. And I will read. Someone says, I feel full, a full sense of fullness. I feel an openness. I feel joined to the sisterhood. Isn't that lovely? These women who you only just met, connected, integrated, connected to all women everywhere, even beyond this gathering. Sizzling, supported. Isn't it juicy to say sizzling? A beautiful collective of heart-centeredness, joyful, curious, just allow. I feel calm and warm. I feel I am germinating at the germinating stage, not yet ready for action. Beautiful. I love the germinating stage too. That's a really sweet state of pause. Cherished, safe, grateful, sweetness. Well, may each of us take the gifts, the blooms of what we've shared today and move into the week ahead. Before I offer a little blessing for the week for all of us, I want to remind you that all of my panelists can be found on my website where you registered. If you would like to contact any one of them for individual sessions, they will all be happy to see you virtually. And my book, The Heart of Leadership for Women, is on Amazon and also can be ordered through your local bookseller. It will help me so much if you would download a copy or purchase a copy and write a review on Amazon. That is my ask. I have a meeting, getting ready to schedule a meeting with my publisher in a month, and I need to show that I have 100 reviews on Amazon to prove that this little book has legs and wings. And I'm about at 55 right now, which I'm so grateful for. And I need to get to 100. That's where you can help me out. We are here every Sunday, a rotating panel of experts, though Janelle and Alyssa are my co-pilots every week. But my goal is to bring you voices that support your own growth and healing, not just in this time of pandemic, but for every season of your life. Everything that we explore here is good. It doesn't have an expiration date ever. Like me on Instagram, Lisa Miller Beautiful Day. That will also help me with my platform to reach more women. Today on our call, we have 40 women. Sometimes it's 60, sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. But I would love for all of us to exponentially help one another heal. And I can do that with a bigger platform, and you can help me get there. Friend me on Facebook, Lisa Morris Miller. And I want to encourage you to continue to sit with the tools that were offered today in your private hours and just play with them. This is not work. This is the juiciness of womanhood and the juiciness of self-exploration. You don't need someone recommending a tool or another guru. All the answers are right in here. You're carrying them with you in every sleeping and waking moment. I must read to you something that I saw a friend of mine posted, and it is just so wonderful. I have to take off my reading glasses to read. Here we go. So a message from Sister Lucy Kurian, who founded the Mahar Ashram in India. She shares a message from the children who live in the orphanages there. Coronavirus has taken us away from our churches, temples, and mosques, but it's bringing us closer to the divine within and to the nature around us. This is what the children have said about this time. Number one, the world has become more sympathetic to each other as this virus is not sparing anyone. Number two, people all over the world are united in their struggles and problems. Number three, pollution has reduced and nature is happy and people are working less, and they're working with a little more mud, more trees, plants, and animals. Number four, everyone has become more disciplined and learned to stay at home and to enjoy what is there. Number five, love and compassion has increased for one another and people have learned to share. Number six, people stopped fighting for their religion and caste now. Solving hunger problems has become the priority for grown-ups around the world. Hunger has no caste and no religion. People are now learning to worship the divine. 7, quality time with family and close ones seems to have increased for everyone. 8, we don't see leftover food thrown in the streets anymore. 9, all are enjoying home-cooked food, and health has become a priority from that food. 10, shopping madness has stopped. Everyone understands everyone else's pain. On that note, may you move into the week ahead more acquainted with the texture, with the power, and with the potential of your own light. May you shine vibrantly your own path so that you're never without a clue about where to go next or how to get there. I hope that you'll come back and join us again next week. My daughter Abby, a millennial, will be here with us to talk about the way that the arts have been therapeutic for her in her life. Now she's a teacher in inner city West Philadelphia, teaching art, what that has meant to the children, especially in this time of global pandemic. And Lauren Hignan of Centered will lead us in self-massage. So if you come back, you can bring a little oil that you like the smell of, and she's gonna teach us how to take care of our own needs, especially in this season. I would love it if you would allow Alyssa to take a group photo of us. If you don't want to be included, go ahead and turn your camera off now, or just leave the meeting. You won't miss anything, because our very last thing is this group photo. So how about we do it on 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you, Alyssa. And she's got to scroll to the next page. So keep shiny. Did you get it all? Great. Thank you all. I want to, in these final 2 minutes, just open the floor. Anyone have any final words? Just go ahead and unmute yourself.
This is Suzanne. I just want to say that was absolutely beautiful and such perfect timing for me. So thank you. Lovely.
Thank you, Suzanne. And Suzanne's going to be a panelist in the coming weeks. So stay tuned. Thank you. Anyone else? Just unmute yourself. Go ahead. What's a takeaway? What do you want to say?
Lisa, thank you for hosting this beautiful thing. Every single Sunday, sorry, every Sunday, this is an anchor for me. You know, we can all use anchors in our life right now, a place to come back to either during the week or the day that keep us grounded and solid and sure of ourselves. And this is one of those places. So love you. I think you look like a beautiful princess today.
Thank you, my Rebecca in Maryland. Thank you. Anyone else? Just unmute yourself. Well, we are just dwelling in the beautiful sacred space that is. Silence is rich. How about, for the next 60 seconds, a breathing meditation before we part? Plant your feet. Let yourself be heavy in your chair. Mute yourself. Alyssa will go ahead and mute everyone. Good. Nice deep inhale here. Audible sigh. No one can hear you. The sound of your own relaxing breath deepens your relaxation, deepens your well-being, invigorates your cells. Another one here. Nice, slow inhale. Pause at the top. Exhale slowly like a balloon. In a world where on a typical day, so little can be controlled, you always have your breath, always have your breath. It's in your bag of tricks. It is your medicine. Let the pace of your breath reflect the desired pace of your mind. Feel your feet and grow roots down into the earth, down into that great source of nourishment and replenishment, Mother Earth. And with your next inhale, breathe from your roots. Let all of that energy and light and love sustain you, all the cells of your body as you move forward, as you sit here, as you think and celebrate. Let this source of support anchor you, as one of our sisters said today, in the times that you most need support. Breathe from your roots and let all the cells, muscles, and tissues be reinvigorated with this medicine. You are alive. Neshama in Hebrew, light. You are a light being fed by Earth's nourishment. And every time you breathe and ground yourself, you are fortified for everything you need physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. One last inhale with an audible sigh here. And when you're ready, open your eyes, but continue to feel your feet and your seat. Continue to feel how invigorated and enlivened and enlightened you are now, just in these few moments of grounding and breathing. See you next week. Registration will be up on my page tomorrow. Can't wait.